Charles, people are excited for you to investigate this. It's been publicized that Erika Kirk, this is one of the strangest things I've heard in a long, long time. She sent a letter to the IRS saying like, hey, like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing over there? Are you investigating me? And they were like, no. These four things that are almost identically named, why would we investigate that? It's only the most suspicious thing since the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Excuse me, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Welcome to you from the residential library here that is not inside an Easter Island head statue.
It's looking good.
Thanks. No, it is feeling good, actually. It's really coming together well. But on this, I think we ought to kick off actually for our free subscribers. We can reprise the look-see into that letter that Bruce Lindsay obtained from the IRS on the basis of a similar entreaty to Erika Kirk. Mark Tapscott, I don't know where he is now. I think he was at the Epoch Times last I heard. Before that, he was at Daily Caller. He used his magic to get his hands on a pair of letters, a letter from supposedly the Clinton Foundation late in 2006, and a letter back supposedly from Lois Lerner. The letter from the Clinton Foundation is a bold fraud. It is boldly inaccurate, fraudulently so. And I don't know if you have it up there yet, but it's a letter where the Clinton Foundation belatedly explains, after Bill Clinton's 2 books, which earned him over $10 million, where he bragged about all the work that he had done supposedly for the Clinton Foundation beginning in 2001, when he, quote, established the Clinton, or founded the Clinton Foundation. They talk about all sorts of initiatives that were never authorized by the IRS all over the world under the direction of Bill Clinton. And even though the FBI had been investigating from 2001 to 2005, first under Mary Jo White, and then after that in 2002, under the direct supervision of James Comey, with Robert Mueller as head of the FBI, and later with Comey in 2003 being promoted to being Mueller's boss as Deputy Attorney General of the FBI, even though there's a 4-year record somewhere of the FBI probing the Clinton Foundation, in theory, to figure out what the hell they were actually doing. Bruce Lindsay decides, after Hillary wins re-election to the Senate, and days before she announces on January 20th, 2007, that she's running to be the first female president of the United States, in a move that was heralded by legacy media as almost a coronation and an inevitability, the IRS on April 5th, 2007, supposedly issues this letter saying, yeah, all the shit you did that's boldly, I didn't say it this way, all the shit you did and didn't tell us about officially in the 990s as you were supposed to, that's okay, no problem. And you look at the signature line here, and you see that it's signed by Lois Lerner. And what is her title given in that letter?
Director of Exempt Organizations, Rulings, and Agreements.
And she was not that was not her title on April 5th, 2007. So what this is I think a cut and paste forgery that was created by allies of the Clintons to make it then possible to set up a William J. Clinton Foundation in the UK, a process which began, I think, by May of 2007, and for which we can go into it now, actually. In Companies House, there's a record of all the filings where in the UK, supposedly America's oldest and most strongest ally through all the wars we fought together, many of them senseless and needless, to set up a William J. Clinton Foundation on the basis of false representations across the national boundaries in the UK, claiming that this international operation in the UK had the right to fight climate change, to do all sorts of stuff, which the domestic parent never had any right to do. All of this occurring at a time when the various Clinton Foundation entities had no articles of incorporation, and no bylaws. So they didn't exist. So the swamp felt that it had the power, and it feels now that it has the power to do whatever the fuck it wants to do around the world, because nobody's going to challenge it. Legacy media is, complicit in all this. They've attended the Clinton Global Initiatives. Major donors in both parties have funded these entities. Rupert Murdoch himself has funded Clinton Global Initiative at a time that it didn't exist. And rather than roll this crap up and send the Clinton family and their key donors to the who's cow, where they belong, people are just playing along. So this Turning Point USA is basically, and what's going on here is just getting away with the same sort of shit that the Clintons have been doing, and is becoming ever more infected by it. I mean, the notion, look, let's assume that Erika Kirk had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. Let's hope that's the case. Obviously, I feel very sorry for her children and for her over what's happened. But the fact that she's been grievously afflicted by what happened does not give her the license to become a charity fraudster. And it certainly doesn't give her a lifetime right to run a public charity just because her husband was the CEO. This is a public charity. It's supposed to stand in the shoes of government. It is not supposed to be a personal philanthropy for Erika Kirk to spend the rest of her life flying around the world and running this thing. I mean, this is not the way these things are supposed to operate.
They think
And
they're family businesses, right? The Clintons, the Kirks.
Right.
It's not a family business.
The Schlappers,
Exactly.
and it's an affliction on the right and the left. And I know we share a suspicion of Tucker Carlson's recent forays in Qatar, but he went on some podcast, and he is all in for investigating what truly happened with Charlie Kirk's murder. He does not believe the official story, nor do I.
Well, hang on a second, Charles, because I got to stop you short there. What I see him doing basically is coming in and kind of supporting. It's separated into two camps, basically, which is like the pro-Candace Owens and the anti-Candace Owens. I mean, that's the thing. I also don't believe the official story of what happened to Charlie Kirk, but I think that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, I mean, everybody's just sort of like muddying the waters here, it seems.
No. You may not have seen what I just saw. There's a 5-minute clip of him on with somebody. It's not, I don't think, Tim Pool, but he's on somebody else's podcast saying that he does not believe the FBI has credibility. He does not believe that this story has credibility. And he doesn't know what the answer is, but he is saying that the official story on Charlie Kirk's murder does not hold water. And that's what I was watching him say for 5 minutes, and it was an excerpt from a longer interview, so I don't know what else he may have said.
Is it this thing where he's in front of the painting?
No.
Well, I'll have to look into it further, but I don't know. I just think.
Yeah, but just forget him for a second.
It's with. Yeah.
He's not with Charlie Kirk. Wife.
No.
He's with a guy with long hair.
Yeah. He's Joe Rogan's friend. I'm blanking on his name right now. He's a funny guy.
Schultz?
But no,
Schultz, maybe?
It's I can't believe I don't remember his name.
Well, Tucker's view on this is almost. Sorry, I brought it up. The fact is, as we said in the last broadcast, when you have the dead guy sending a memo. Theo Vaughn, exactly right. When you have the dead guy sending out days before his death an email saying we need a Doge-style investigation into our finances, it makes no sense for the IRS to say, you know what, there's nothing here, and let's cancel the audit. I mean, it's clear that something is being covered up here. Something major is being covered up. And it is just not clear to me yet why the powers that be under Kash Patel would want to cover this up. I mean, we have in the case, for example, of CPAC, something that you experienced brutally, and I just experienced secondhand through you when you were, invited to attend CPAC and then, denied the right to attend once you got there. Something is rotten in faux conservative land. There are a large number of grifters around the idea of conservatism and indeed of Make America Great Again, who are not trying to make America great again, who are not trying to promote true conservative economic principles, and instead are making money off the dupes who buy the merch and subscribe to these various clickbait forums. This is a serious problem here, and it comes at a time when the legacy media is in its last gasps, worried about what's going to happen in 2026 and 2028 and afterwards. And so, on this issue, the issue of what really happened at Turning Point and to Charlie Kirk and what's going on with these financial statements is something that really deserves close attention. And what's interesting to me is that we don't see people on the left diving into it. You would think that getting to the bottom of the Schlapper's escapades and getting to the bottom at CPAC and American Conservative Union, you would think that Media Matters and people like that would be all over that, all over Turning Point and all over this, and they're not. So, what's going on?
Matt Schlapp has done a good job of staying out of the news for a little while. He's not schlapping anybody on the way to the airport since maybe February.
But again, I always look through life, not so much the words, but more at the numbers. And you look around the world. I did an interview last night with John Batchelor and Gordon Chang. And, Europe is committing suicide. With its elites are killing Europe between the censorship initiatives, which are full on high boil, their idiotic anti-capital initiatives in the private sector, their addiction to slothful, wasteful, and counterproductive governance. Now they're warmongering. Europe is committing suicide as we speak. I mean, you go back to the pre-1997 period when Europe was all excited about the EU and what was going to happen and the creation of the largest single integrated market. Then they open up their borders, encourage people who hate Europeans and hate Europe's history and hate what Europe used to stand for to flood into the country, commit unspeakable crimes and atrocities, living off the government dole, deny and cancel their own history, their own accomplishments, their own what made the individual nations of Europe interesting and special. So that's a mess. The Chinese economy is a mess. And now their solution is another I think the biggest real estate company just went bankrupt or is asking for a reprieve from its bondholders, which is tantamount to bankruptcy in China. So the Chinese miracle stands revealed, I think, for what it is. It's just fiction. And the various people in the U.S. and the West who've been bought off by the Chinese kleptocrats are still promoting the theory that China is the future. We ought to kowtow now and bow down before China. There's a lot of mess around the world. And it doesn't make all that much sense to me, given the fact that we can do this podcast, me far away from you, without staffs, without producers, without huge budgets. Why is it so difficult to get the truth told?
Friggin' awesome art department.
And the frigging awesome art department and the merry elves who work in it. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I had thought, when you think back to similar revolutions with Gutenberg and the printing press, prior to that, you mentioned that of movable type, the Catholic monks, the Catholic priests basically stifled free inquiry and put people to death, Galileo among them, who challenged the status quo. You would have thought that with the advent of broadband cable and fast internet around the world, you would have thought that a goodly percentage of the 8 billion souls who are out there would be advancing the frontiers of knowledge and questioning. The hippie era was, the motto was question authority. There's none of that now. The newsrooms get together, legacy media, and they decide America has an affordability crisis. And suddenly you hear affordability crisis, across 24/7 the news feed. We have a governance crisis. We have a corruption crisis. People look at the example of Ilhan Omar. You marry your brother and you become a multimillionaire. And you get all kinds of airtime across legacy media. They look at that, and Jasmine Crockett and these George Bush and his grifting family, the Biden grifters. People are grifting to their heart's content across the planet. And where are the investigative journalists on this? We're doing it. Where are the Pulitzer Prize winners? They're trying to get in on the grift, get their spouse or partner involved in a nonprofit so they can get money sent to them from crooked governments around the world. Stunning to me.
Charles, is there going to be an investigation of Ilhan Omar and her fraternal nuptials?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that woman, that person is basically ridiculous.
Oh, you're not a biologist.
Yeah, and I'm not a biologist. She's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Her points are ridiculous. She shouldn't be in Congress. That she is still walking around the United States of America, collecting money from the government, is preposterous to me. And I gather that Trump has ordered Tom Homan to specifically look into her case, and I hope he does.
Scoop her up and throw her in the back of an ice truck while people throw sodas at them or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm for it.
It's just no. I mean, look, you have a right to criticize our government, but you don't have. And I say this as the proud. I guess what am I? A great grandson of somebody who emigrated from Germany, great grandson, who directed his family to immediately assimilate, to reject the second he entered, I think it was August of 1854, I believe. No German spoken in the house, learn English, assimilate, go to school, you're American now, forget you. To the point where we don't know where this guy actually, anything about his family. That's the degree to which he assimilated. And, I think if we were to go and reject the United States and if I were to become a Malaysian citizen, I'd do the same thing. And here's this asshole who cheated, allegedly, to get into the country in the first place, spending all of our time bitching, whining, inciting violence even against the president and his supporters, sitting in Congress, wearing that ridiculous hat. He'd go the fuck back to Somalia.
She also destroyed that guy's marriage, stole some lady's husband, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a nasty piece of shit. And by letting her, holding her up, she's probably going to get, I don't know, an Emmy Award next. I mean, just by allowing her example to stand, you are sending the wrong message. And if you want to be in the Karen wing of the moron wing of the Democrat Party, go do that and destroy the Democrat Party. But this is not somebody who should be allowed to say what she says and have nobody criticize her. And then she plays the race card. Something like, I think I saw that 80% of the Somalis in Minnesota are on welfare. I mean,
right.
The Black Hawk Down incident was a long time ago.
91 or 2?
I forget when, but it was a long, long time ago. And, we're broke. The idea that we should sit there and the Tim Waltz of all people. I mean, think about where we are now. Every time I get, perplexed about what Trump might be doing in the moment currently, imagine how bad the world would be right now if Tim Waltz were the fucking vice president of the United States and Kamala Meathead were president of the United States. Just imagine how horrible.
I was thinking that earlier. Yeah, she's running her mouth on the news about they're going to make some kind of marble bust of her in the Senate or something.
I know. I mean, she literally is a lunatic. And the people who run businesses and wrote large checks to support the Waltz Harris ticket. I mean, I want nothing to do with those people. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, she's pretty boozy too, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to go and live in California and spend your part of your summer in Martha's Vineyard wearing those cinnamon colored pants and the straw handbags and the Lily Pulitzer silk outfits and pretend you know how to cook. That's your life. Go for it. But getting anywhere near to deciding what information is classified, what isn't classified, how to defend the security of the United States of America, how to promote economic welfare in this country. These people, I mean, you may as well bring back Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey's Circus and have a bunch of clowns run the country.
Yeah. Did they
They
close
probably
that?
do.
I think I haven't seen
Went bankrupt.
Barnum and Bailey's Circus in a while. That's
It
terrible.
went back. Yeah, it is terrible.
It used to be very stinky. Go there, get elephants and popcorn.
I never liked it. And
Really?
the Ringling. No, I was scared by it actually as a kid. Especially we would get these letters from, my grandfather when I was a kid saying, go to the circus and go down and tell the ringmaster that your family are friendly with the Ringling family because you live next door to one another in Montana.
And he'd be like, get the
Like,
hell
how
out
do
of
you?
here, kid.
I mean,
Trying to run
exactly.
a circus.
But it was true actually. John Ringling went out to Montana. The animals needed a place that wasn't hot in the summer,
Oh, to
and
hang
so
out. I used to go, maybe once I did this in college, but they would like kind of march the animals in through the Midtown Tunnel, and there were like elephants walking in the street and
right,
stuff.
right. So actually, I think it was after my ancestor who found all the gold died, I think, but John Ringling came to White Sulphur Springs, and the town that my ancestors settled in there. And he liked my great grandfather's house, which still stands today, and so he built a copy of it across the street, and eventually bought a town next to White Sulphur Springs, which was renamed Ringling, Montana. And so my grandfather was not completely crazy, but as a whatever 6-year-old or 7-year-old, I thought he was crazy.
Isn't it interesting? Did they come up with the three ring circus before this guy, or does that have something to do with his name? Or we're getting a little bit far afield here, but it's interesting. The Ringling
Yeah,
Brothers.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so Charles, we've got just another 2 minutes here before we make our way into the First Amendment Forum, where we can dig into some more of this. But I mean, again, it's pretty outrageous that just the notion that somebody would, first of all, send a letter and say like, "Oh, are you investigating?" I mean, it's like, what are you, first of all, talking about that you would ask the IRS if you're investigating us? I mean, she's a little bit playing this whole, everything's a conspiracy theory, so shut up and listen to whatever we tell you. I mean, as you said, it's obviously, okay, she's a widow, but seeing her on the news a lot and on podcasts a lot. She doesn't.
Well, she's just done a town hall with Barry Weiss, who's editor-in-chief now at CBS News, and that's going to air, I think, on the 13th. And, this is not, Barry Weiss is an interesting person who supposedly was shaking up CBS News. But I believe CBS is controlled by the Ellison family at this point, who are big shareholders, I think, in Oracle and
Yeah.
many other things.
Well, the Skydance Paramount acquisition, they now control all of that stuff.
Right, but they're also now in a bidding war for Netflix, and so why the rush to cover up what may have actually happened here to Charlie Kirk? Who is behind this? And what's going on? I think there's some suspicions around the chief of staff of Turning Point. There's new questions about that person. But basically, just to close with one thought, that when there are questions about an audit, okay, that means something very seriously is wrong. I mean, that was my experience with General Electric. That is my ongoing experience with the Clinton Foundation. Auditors in the main are sober people. And when you've been through an audit, a real audit, you understand that, with financial statements, there is such thing, not absolute truth, but, books need to balance. Assets need to equal liabilities plus equity. And when they don't, there's a very serious problem. So people calling for a Doge-style audit of the Turning Point network, you don't get to that place because everything's hunky-dory.
Oh, Charles, hey, I'm looking at something here that I hadn't noticed before. So this memo that was sent to us by Brian Ferentz, who is Sword Truth on X here. And what I'm seeing is this is the memo that Charlie Kirk sent, just 9 days or 8 days before he was killed. And he's introducing everybody to this new COO, Justin. And he says right in here, Justin will directly oversee development, events, finance, TPUSA Faith, media, marketing, production, asset management, distribution, Turning Point education, Blexit, HR, and legal. So that's interesting. I mean, let's get into this in the First Amendment Forum. We'll discuss what we think the implications of all of that are. People can be able to join us on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. Charles, I've had a little bit of a reduced broadcasting schedule because I've been so busy in counter lawfare. I want to thank everybody who sponsors and supports the show so we can continue bringing quality information to people and fighting off the losers who are trying to sue me for the past 9 years. They're very close to being in a lot of trouble. People can also follow on X at JG_CSTT. You can subscribe there.